ask around, but when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, bedtime on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Please be seated. And now we invite the Honorable Member, Ms. Volda Lawrence, to make her presentation.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I rise to present to this House and the Guyanese public my views on Budget 2025, which the Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, presented with great flourish and fanfare under the theme Sustainability, Improving the Lives of Guyanese. A national budget which has elicited a wide range of reactions. As was expected, Budget 2025 revealed the biggest, most ambitious plan envisioned by the government. But to my mind, biggest is not necessarily the best. For against the backdrop of the business sector applauding the high percentage of capital investments, and the country labeled as the fastest growing economy in the world, others are gravely concerned about the reduction of inequality and the creation of an enabling environment for small businesses to thrive. Further, juxtaposed with the unparalleled spending spree cushioned in this $1.3 trillion budget, are some 48% of persons living in poverty, agonizing over how soon they will receive the next paycheck, as well as the $100,000 promised last year to temporarily fill their empty purses while they will be remembered, and whether they will be remembered in any further distribution to improve their desperate indigent situation. Honorable Minister, Ms. Rodriguez of Linden, Vanessa of Jackalow Village, Bacchus of Alboystown, Dave and Gadjari of East Bank Berbice, Savitri and Devanan of Parika, and many others from all across the country are looking for a phone number to contact Mr. Azruddin Mohammed to address their dire needs. That, Mr. Speaker, is the reality. Budget 2025 is putting a large bandage over a festering sore. This purulent sore to which I am alluding is the inescapable poverty besetting some 50% of our nation. And I want to elaborate, Mr. Speaker, on the stranglehold in which the ordinary people of Guyana are caught, and which Budget 2025 has not effectively and adequately addressed. Poverty and measures, old age pension. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 has provided old age pensioners with a $5,000 monthly increase and public assistance recipients $3,000, which are commendable. But it is well known that this will have little to no effect on the lives of many of our pensioners, especially those who have no other source of income. The cost of living is exorbitant, and so are healthcare costs and other miscellaneous expenses, which daily encumber the pockets of our elderly. Budget 2025 is themed Improving the Lives of Guyanese, but alas, Honorable Minister, the well-being of our pensioners is being eroded as they grapple with the stark realities of not having enough to offset the tentacles of poverty. Perhaps subsidize housing for the very poor and the $50,000 that was promised in 2020 need to be a consideration given prevailing circumstances. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to highlight the pensioners at age 55, whose situation is just as dire. For those unable to benefit from a post-work pension scheme, the wait until 65 for old age benefits is a harrowing experience, hence the pursuit of odd jobs, risky at times, to make ends meet. If perchance their NIS fell short of the required number of contributions, they then have to manage the one-off payment until 65 years. How do they deal with severe health conditions rife at this age? I speak of stroke, diabetes, cardiovascular, and mental health issues, among others. Mr. Speaker, the situation is alarming. Their needs and the root causes of persistent poverty must be strategically embraced if the ordinary people are to really enjoy the benefits of the fastest growing economy. We all welcome cash grants, but that is not the answer to transforming the lives of our citizens. NIS. Each year, Mr. Speaker, many pensioners have their hopes dashed after working for many years and planning on receiving both NIS and old age pensions to eke out post-work existence. They are left on the hopeless bench. The National Insurance Scheme's yearly reports starkly relate this story. A quick scan for the years 2019 through 2022, revealed that some 4,403 pensioners, or a yearly average of 1,100 of hopefuls, were denied pension benefits. Hence, their plans of surviving on the two pensions never materialized. In 2019, some 1,170 pensioners, 2020, 979, 2021, 846, and in 2022, 1,408 persons who reached the age of 60 were left to the mercies of the unknown for the next 5 years until they became eligible for old age pension at age 65. Efforts must be made, targeted at bridging the gaps for those pensioners. Noted, Mr. Speaker, is the 10 billion allocation to provide grants for those persons with 500 to 749 contributions. However, this proposal is already incorporated in the NIS Act, which makes provision for such grants. Is this then an oversight? Mr. Speaker, none of the 17 SDGs explicitly mention older people, but several goals and targets directly and indirectly speaks to their needs and rights. These include poverty, goal number 1. Older people often face economic insecurity due to inadequate pensions or lack of income. Yet at NIS, those who did not qualify for survival benefit averaged 700 persons each year for the last 4 years, not to mention thousands of persons who appeal to the board every year. Zero hunger, goal number 2. Ensuring access to nutritious food for older people is essential, particularly for those living in poverty or rural areas. Mr. Speaker, goals 3, 5, 8, 10, 11, and 17 all speak of the need to ensure that older people are included in achieving these goals. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, given our windfall of oil revenues, the time has come for us to implement comprehensive reforms and look at added programs and areas such as hot meals, especially in rural areas, increasing mental health, geriatric care through home visits by health personnel, decent pay and working conditions for those still employed, accessible housing and transportation, protection of their rights, all these and more to improve the livelihood of our pensioners. So, Mr. Minister, your one-off elections injection will not suffice. The scheme must demonstrate a willingness to go after employers, both private and public, who failed to honor employees' contributions and visualize mechanisms and structural reforms that will impact positively on the entitlements of pensioners. The scheme has had challenges whereby this very government lost approximately 5.7 billion Guyana dollars or 28 million US dollars to the CLICO investment. However, the oil proceeds now provide a unique opportunity for the scheme's framework to be revamped to allow for the enhancement of benefits for all pensioners. Newborn cash grant. Mr. Speaker, 100,000 cash grant for newborns, while seemingly generous, falls short of effectively addressing poverty or serving as a meaningful safety net for several reasons, particularly in the context of a stagnant population growth rate and declining crude birth rate. Offering a cash grant does little to address the root causes of declining birth rates, high cost of living expenditure, lack of work-life balance, or adequate child support. In reality, this only offers temporary relief in an election year, rather than long-term stability and sustainability. Mr. Speaker, while substantial on paper, this cash grant represents a mere fraction of what a family will need over decades to adequately support a child: Pampers, baby formula, health care, among other items. Sir, studies have shown that one, declining crude birth rates are linked to broader socioeconomic factors, such as job security, affordable child care, housing costs, and gender equality in the workplace. Certainly, a one-time elections cash grant does not address these systemic issues. Two, in countries where similar pronatalist policies financial incentives alone rarely lead to significant increases in birth rates, especially when broader societal challenges, such as receiving child support from one of the parents, remain unaddressed. Mr. Speaker, I trust the government will review its approach to addressing our stagnant population growth and declining birth rates by adapting some comprehensive policies that tackle systemic issues such as subsidized child care, and I speak here of both daycare and night care, affordable housing for single parents, ensuring that parents pay their child support, removal or reduction of the VAT, among others. Mr. Speaker, perhaps the Honorable Minister can share with us the study or studies which guided this measure. Sir, we can look at several countries which encounter similar problems, like France, which offers family allowance, tax breaks for families with more children, subsidized child care, paid parental leave for both parents. South Korea looks at families with a large number of children. Singapore subsidized fertility treatments, among many others. Certainly, we can look at various successful programs tried and tested by many countries and introduce 2 or 3 of these programs which will result in the growth of our population. Economic and oil reserves. In 2024, Guyana's economy experienced a remarkable growth of 43.6%, marking the 5th consecutive year of double-digit expansion. This surge was primarily driven by the oil sector, which expanded by 57.7%, with production averaging 616,000 barrels per day. The government earned $2.5 billion in revenues from oil exports, a significant increase from $1.62 billion in 2023. However, Mr. Speaker, despite these impressive figures, many have expressed concerns that the 2025 budget does not translate this economic prosperity into meaningful improvements for the lives of the general population. According to the World Bank, 48% of our population, we're speaking of approximately 384,000 Guyanese of our approximately 800,000 population. Value-added tax. Despite various arguments put forward, sir, that reducing or removing the VAT imposed by this government in 2007 would lessen the financial burdens on all citizens, especially those struggling with a high cost of living. To date, this has not materialized. Hence, the government has missed an opportunity to provide a broader relief to the mass underprivileged in our country. I call on the government to remove VAT on all food items. This is not a partisan issue. This is an issue of survival for the people of Guyana. And we on this side of the House will give our full support. Labor. Mr. Speaker, all governments know of the importance of aligning educational programs with market demands. On page 74, para 4.196 and 197, the Honorable Minister spoke of the government's commitment to training Guyanese to access local content. He said, and I quote, "Attention to labor market dynamics is consistently on the front burner for us policymakers." End of quote. Mr. Speaker, last year the minister told the nation the same thing on page 106 of his budget presentation. Yet, sir, the Honorable Minister cannot provide this House with the labor force surveys for 2021, 2022, 2023, nor 2024. As a matter of fact, the last labor force survey was done in 2020. At page 29, para 4.24, the Honorable Minister speaks of training Guyanese at every level. Nice talk, Mr. Minister. But with the absence of a labor force survey, I must ask, what source of data are you using to identify areas of training and number of persons to be trained? Which category of workers? What age groups? With skills? Whom are you targeting? The employed for their second jobs to whom you alluded in your income tax measures, or the unemployed? Perhaps the minister had a needs assessment done. Where is the data, Honorable Minister? You also spoke of important skilled labor. May I ask, what is guiding this policy? How do you know whom to import in the absence of the labor force survey? Mr. Speaker, the government cannot on its own achieve the turnaround in the training of our employed and unemployed. What the government needs to do is, one, provide more financial support, grants for small and medium-sized enterprises, to encourage entrepreneurship and job creation. Provide tax incentives to Guyanese employers that hire locally and invest in employee training. Bridge the gap between education and employment by targeting our youths into internships and apprenticeships with a cost of living stipend attached. Ensure our labor laws are updated to protect workers' rights while promoting flexible employment. They can also provide unemployment benefits linked to training and retraining. They can lastly encourage Guyanese expatriates to return by providing incentives. And what about reviewing the retirement age at 55 years from the public service, Honorable Minister?
Correct.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, Guyana has many countries we can learn from, such as Singapore, Germany, Costa Rica, Netherlands, the USA, and our own neighbor Brazil, to name a few. Sir, it is my hope that a part of this abundance of earnings will be used to create a human infrastructure to bequeath to our nation, to our generations, a country that can sustain itself. Transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, beyond specific fiscal measures, there are broader concerns about the budget's transparency and the equitable distribution of the nation's oil wealth. I wish to reiterate that despite the significant revenues generated from oil, citizens have yet to experience the lofty improvements in services and general well-being. Services such as issuance of passports. Why must person have to go to the passport office at 3 a.m. in the morning? Birth and death certificate, burial, garbage disposal and collection, encashment of NIS and old age vouchers, transportation, hospital service, such as the availability of beds, drugs, and medical supplies, among others. Further, Mr. Speaker, despite the acclaimed lofty reform of the financial sector, yet the risk at the banks persists for the ordinary Guyanese who resort to Facebook to express frustration when monies are withdrawn with no proper accountability from their personal accounts. Imagine the dismay of a pensioner who last December went to do a withdrawal transaction only to be told of the negligible amount remaining in her account. The account had been breached and used for online shopping at Macy's and Burberry's. Sir, even foreign transactions are also difficult to conduct. Lack of foreign currency or sums required are not readily available. We see a lot of it in the newspapers. Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable Minister tells us that they have spent the monies passed in the budget, he boasts of spending more than 90% of the monies allocated, but it is all a misappropriation of the truth. What is known and recorded is that this government encourages ministries and agencies to withhold monies at the end of the year in the form of checks instead of returning them to the consolidated fund as outlined in Section 43 of the Financial Management and Accountability Act of 2003. For example, for 3 years, 2021 through 2023, they withheld some $3.439 billion. In 2021, $623.4 million. 2022, $352.6 million. And in 2023, $2,463 million were all withheld. Sir, the holy, sanctimonious, and expropriators are well known over the past 32 years in government for their network contracting. I know they will not want me to tell the Guyanese public about their overpayments to contractors of $153.23 million. And the lack of transparency continues. In an interview in August 2020 on the program group Span 24/7 with hosts Dr. Asquith Rose and Charles Sugrim, the Honorable Dr. Anthony said that, and I quote, "The ministry inherited approximately 1.6 million expired items valued $742 million. And an additional $200 million in items was projected to expire in December 2020. End of quote. When I was asked for a comment on Honorable Anthony's statement by Dr. Rose, I said, and I quote, "Time will tell," end of quote. Well, Mr. Speaker, time has spoken. So let's look at the wastage. The Auditor General said that for the period January 2022 to June 2024, just 2.5 years, Guyana threw away some $5.974 billion in expired drugs. In 4 months, sir, between January to April 2022, $413.3 million were thrown away. For the year 2023, $1,306,000 were thrown away. From January to June, 6 months in 2024, that's last year, my boy uppy game to $1.923 billion, 6 months. And sir, at June, that's very June, they had on hand for disposal $2.332 billion. Mr. Speaker, when we add overpayments and disposable drugs, some $9.413 billion wasted, gone to friends, families, and favorites, while 48% of Guyanese in our midst are not even allowed to dream. Mind you, sir, this amount of $9.413 billion only represents 2 areas of the entire budget. I'm calling for investments in drugs and medical supplies to be quantified and managed correctly. It is my hope, sir, that we will see some expedient action in the area of digitalizing the health sector systems, which we heard of since 2023. In the interim, however, sir, the Honorable Minister Anthony may want to use artificial intelligence, AI, like the United States of America, the United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, and endorsed by the World Health Organization, WHO, which can provide data faster and more accurately. But do something to stop this leakage. Mr. Speaker, what has happened to the glorious promise to the Guyanese people of promoting good governance, including openness, transparency, and commitment to improve public accountability? Mr. Speaker, I have had cause to rise in the House to ask you to have several members on the government side produce the evidence of the coalition government raising 200 taxes while in office. A few days ago, I heard the Honorable Minister Waldron mention of how unconscionable the coalition government was, that they raised Huskers taxes. Well, Minister Waldron, I have news for you. You can refer to page 41 of the 1993 PPP budget, Reconstruction for Human Development, section 6.19. And I'm not giving you all the other taxes, but it speaks of the government levying fees and penalties on the following: Weights and Measures Act, Miscellaneous License Act, Coconut Producers Act, Rice Factories Act, Consumption Tax Act, Customs Act, Spirits Act, Beer Regulation, Fisheries, and Huskers License and Control Act, Banking, Petroleum. Oh my God. Betting, road traffic vehicles, airport departure tax, tax on airlines tickets, professional fees tax, revenue stamp tax on passports, and the list goes on and on and on. I also refer her to Budget 1994 and Budget 1995. Mr. Speaker, Matthew 13:25 says, And I quote, "But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way." End of quote. A perusal of the estimates begs more question of this 2025 budget. Figures. Looking at two subheads, one, other goods and services, and other operating costs, the line items 6284 others and 6294 respectively tells a grim story about budget 2025. For example, sir, under the Ministry of Education, we see an increase of $321.6 million and $1,021 million. The Ministry of Local Government under Program 134, we see an increase of $300 million. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Finance is not to be left out. Just taking two programs for them, Program 031 and 032, we see under the line items others 6284 and 6294 a $400 million increase. Under the presidency, Program 011 and 013, we see in line item 6294, $186 million increase. Mr. Speaker, what are the ministries doing to cause an increase under these broad line items of over $2.3 billion? Guyanese people need to wake up. Wake up, fellow Guyanese. We are being attacked from within. Here is the proof, Mr. Speaker. This budget is an elections campaign fund. What more evidence is needed? Mr. Speaker, this budget is rife with slush funds, dollars for elections and campaigns. Mr. Speaker, throughout his remarks, former Minister Jordan repeatedly called for transparency and accountability in government spending to good effect. He highlighted the lack of detailed reporting on oil revenue and use and the absence of feasibility studies for large-scale projects. His question, where is the plan? We're asking you, Mr. Minister, where is the plan? Where is the vision? Revert.
Honorable member, as you pause, we are at the point where you have to get an extension.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I move that the honourable member be given 5 minutes to conclude our presentation.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Honorable member, you may continue to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. He urged the government to prioritize long-term development over short-term political gains. Former Minister Jordan further called for a comprehensive social safety net that includes revamped NIS benefits, structured cash transfer programs, and sustainable poverty reduction measures. He warned that without such reforms, the country's current trajectory would be unsustainable. Did you hear him? Value-added products. Mr. Speaker, value-added products is one way in which we can have sustainable growth and less dependence on oil. This is the view held by many, including His Excellency the President and the Honorable Minister of Finance. Yet, sir, we do not see the government investing our monies nor making bold steps to open up this sector. So I refer to financing, concessions for those who wish to invest in things like cosmetics, rice-based products, things like noodles, snacks, or flour. I talk about those who want to invest in floor tiles from our wood, or various types of tiles from our clay or aluminum, just to name a few. The Honorable Minister said that the manufacturing sector increased by 13% in 2024, and auto manufacturing increased by 15.7%. Mr. Speaker, he went on to say that this growth was driven by non-metallic and fabricated metal products, but in reality, those were for the oil sector. We have invested $527.4 million in 2024 in the agro-processing sector, but we are not aware of the total value of the products processed and sold both locally and overseas. In this budget, we are told there will be a further investment of $800 million. There are many Anansi stories, sir, many Anansi stories. Mr. Speaker, last year on page 3, para 4, the Honorable Minister told this House there were 2 large-scale investments totaling some 250,000 hectares for production and value added in the forestry sector. Yet in Budget 2025, there is not one single word about this great investment. Yet again on page 31, para 4.38, in this budget, he speaks of the manganese company and its creation of 300 new jobs in Region 1, benefiting residents of Arakaka, Matthews Ridge, and Port Kaituma. The Honorable Minister speaks as though this investment was done under this government. But I have news for you, for I hold in my hand a press release dated January 25, 2017, titled, Minister of Natural Resources approves agreement between Bosai Minerals and Reunion Gold Corporation, manganese project aiming for as many as 400 permanent workers. End of quote. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case. I rest my case. I wish to thank all those who contributed towards the production of the 2025 budget. May God have mercy on the Guyanese people.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Ms. Volda Lawrence. And now I invite our Honorable Prime Minister, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, to make his contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, many of the speeches that we are hearing during this presentation are indeed farewell speeches. And we have to take them in good measures because, of course, they're filled with farewell one for the first 5-year term. Mr. Speaker, as always, I rise with great pride and honor in support of the 2025 national budget presented under the theme, under the People's Progressive Party, Civic Government, by our senior minister in the office of the President with responsibility for finance and public service, the Honorable Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh. And I take the opportunity to commend the hard-working staff of the Ministry of Finance under his leadership for putting together yet another developmental budget that will see benefits for all of the people of Guyana. Mr. Speaker, with a 20.6% increase from budget 2024, this 1.382 trillion budget is the largest budget in Guyana's history and paves the way for even greater development in our country. Mr. Speaker, in the words of renowned development economist Amritya Sen, and I quote, "Economic growth without investment in human development is unsustainable and unethical," end of quote. For Guyana, this observation rings ever true. We are a country blessed with abundant resources and a determined spirit. Here, progress is measured by how we use it to transform lives, a mission that the PPPC government has continued to seek avenues of building upon the prosperity of our people since the moment we resumed office in 2020. Our government, Mr. Speaker, has strived to expand the pie of our national prosperity while ensuring that its fruits are equitably distributed. Our mission remains to secure continued economic growth, empower our people, and lay a foundation of sustainability that will endure for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, over the past 5 years, Guyana has experienced much progress, emerging as one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The 2025 budget stands as a bold demonstration of Guyana's journey of recovery and progress under the stewardship of the PPPC government. After inheriting an economy weakened by years of mismanagement and further challenged by the global pandemic, this administration embarked on an ambitious, people-centric agenda that has yielded impactful, positive results to date. From recording a staggering 43.6% economic growth in 2024 to creating over 60,000 new jobs across various sectors in Guyana, Mr. Speaker, the result speaks volumes about Guyana's economic resilience and potential. Strategic initiatives, such as the aggressive expansion of the housing sector, with over 40,000 house lots distributed, and investments in education, including the graduation of thousands under the Gold Scholarship, are all examples of our commitment to improving lives at every level. Mr. Speaker, these successes are underpinned by our government's vision to ensure Guyana's oil wealth benefits all citizens, which is evident in robust infrastructure development, cash grant initiatives, and monumental advancements in healthcare and education. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 consolidates these gains and sets the stage for even greater strides towards a brighter future for all Guyanese, as we have promised. But, Mr. Speaker, let us not forget that this success has a purpose. The purpose lies in ensuring that every family has access to opportunity. Every community is resilient. Every child grows up in a country where their dreams can take flight. Mr. Speaker, development and democracy must go hand in hand in Guyana. The 2025 national budget themed a secure, prosperous and sustainable Guyana will help us to achieve this vision. It demonstrates our shared values and aspirations as our government charts a course that uplifts our people. As we reflect on how far we come, this budget asks us to look towards a future where economic security, prosperity, and sustainability are lived realities. Mr. Speaker, it's important that we reflect on the past, especially after listening to the last two presenters. The very last presenter talks about a Guyana where everything seems to be going downhill. But this very Minister of Health, former Minister of Health in the last administration, should be aware that today, after 5 years of corrective developmental work, we have rescued Guyana. The people of Guyana can today access, free of cost, cardiology, adult and pediatric open heart surgery, and angiograms and stent, bariatric weight loss surgery, orthopedic, scoliosis, knee and hip replacement and revision surgery, neurosurgery, kidney transplant, oncology, cancer treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, brachytherapy, etc., plastic surgery, breast reconstruction, cleft lip, born care, dialysis, hemo and peritoneal, pathology and histopathology services, free of cost. That is happening in Guyana as I speak, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's important listening to the very speaker and the previous presenter, the Honorable Member Cathy Hughes, for us to remember from whence we came, as a people. 60 years of developmental struggles in Guyana. 1964 to 1992. 1964 to 1992. Guyana was under the stewardship of the PNC government. And this is what was written in the McIntyre report of that stewardship. I won't want to bore the house, but it's important that I read this part. Guyana has slipped below Haiti. This is an article in the Stabroek News written December the 2nd, 1989. Guyana now ranked below Haiti, McIntyre report. Guyana slipped below Haiti and is now ranked as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. This is it. If you want to read it, it's available. I will lay it over, Mr. Speaker. This is a start and conclusion in the just released McIntyre report, which also says the country needs a political system which encourages, let me read again, which encourages the participation of all Guyanese in the recovery program. The report suggests that what is also needed is, and I quote, a restoration of confidence in the ability of the government to manage the economy and share its benefits widely. And share its benefits widely. We must leave some time for that to sink in. It puts inflation at 50% per annum and unemployment at 40% of the workforce. Government's excessive control of the economy. Everybody remember? Controlling the commanding heights of the economy. Government's excessive control of the economy, which limited the role of private initiative and investment, also contributed to massive migration of Guyana's best and brightest. Government corrective measures over the past decade lacked political support and the institutional capacity to undertake strong adjustment measures. Guyana is among the most heavily indebted developing countries in the world. That's where, as a youngster, I learned the meaning of the abbreviation HIPIC. Guyana was listed among the HIPIC countries. Heavily indebted, poor country. Mr. Speaker, I ask the honorable members on the other side of the House, is the McIntyre report the distortion of truth? I lived through it in Guyana, and I assume you lived through it too, Mr. Speaker. And I assume that the leader of the opposition, who grew up in Linden, like myself, lived through it. Is the Commission of Inquiry report that was shown to the House during the presentation of Honorable Gail Teixeira on general and regional elections 2020, the distortion of the truth that recently occurred in Guyana 5 years ago. Statements by head of the OAS Observer Mission, headed by former PM of Jamaica to the OAS. Is that a distortion of the truth? Mr. Speaker, is Norconsult report that supported the Amelia Falls project as still being feasible a distortion of the truth? Mr. Speaker, Amelia Falls only failed because of the lack of support by those who are now in opposition.
Yep.
However, with or without your support, the gas to energy project will not fail and will be completed in the last quarter of 2025. And it will lead to a reduction in the cost of electricity that will be enjoyed by even you, the members on the other side of the House. Mr. Speaker, today the development policies of the people-centered PPPC government and its One Guyana policies have all Guyanese having a say in the development of their community, in the development of Guyana, working on projects and earning from projects in their communities. These are our friends, families, and favorites, and they're throughout Guyana. The people building their own roads, clearing their own drains, and being paid for it. Our friends, family, and favorite, who have now expanded, as I mentioned, to all villages throughout Guyana. Mr. Speaker, I can only recall recently I went to sign some contracts for roads in the community of Ichuni. And all the people told me there, on signing the contracts, Bishop Edger was there. Everything we asked this government for, we are getting, and we got already. That is the people of Ichuni are saying that. We're at a stage today, Mr. Speaker, where community roads and community grounds are rehabilitated in all the communities where our friends, families, and favorites live.
Are you published?
In Melanie Damishana, in Anns Grove, in Betterboacton, in Buxton Friendship,
Yes, PM.
in Victoria,
In Victoria.
in Haslington,
Haslington.
in Annandale, Eastville, in Region 10, Ichuni, Kokwani, Linden, over 40 road contracts handed out to our friends, families, and favorites. Over 400. You can't hear. I know y'all can't read. I know you can't hear. Mr. Speaker, and this is not only at this time when we have oil and gas. The PPPC has a history of developing all the communities in Guyana. In Linden, 1992 to 2015, we built hospital, the Linden Hospital. In Mackenzie, a state-of-the-art, brand new hospital was built next to the old hospital that I was hospitalized in as a child in Linden by the PPPC government. Don't tell me otherwise. A new hospital was built in Wisma by the PPPC government. Burnham Drive was repaired by the PPPC government. At a time when the people in Linden were complaining, Burnham Drive, no oil and gas money. State-of-the-art Linden Foundation Secondary School in 2023 was built by the PPPC government. No oil, no gas. Mr. Speaker, we do not take money away from the people. 2003, we do not take money away from the people through increased taxes and fares. We increase the disposable income available to people. And by my reckoning, Mr. Speaker, the APNU AFC was in government. And they had 5 budgets. 2015 budget, 2016 budget, 2017 budget, 2018 budget, 2019 budget. And they failed to pay the $10,000 Because We Care cash grant that was paid in 2014. So by my reckoning, the APNU AFC government owe every child who was in our school system, 2015 to 2019, $50,000. When you gonna pay up? Mr. Speaker, they like to talk about one Guyana, but one Guyana ensure that development comes and is available to people in all the communities of Guyana. Annandale to Ishalton, Bellodrum to Baracara. You name it, Mr. Speaker. From Cornelia Ida to Chinnawing. Only today, I see a post from the Honorable Minister of Education of Chinnawing School having ICT connectivity Diamond to Dardanelle, Everton to Itterimbang, Mara to Madio and Masakanari, Port Moran to Parabakatai, from coastland to hinterland, schools are being constructed and repaired. You didn't build any secondary school.
None.
As a matter of fact, no school in the hinterland.
None.
Hospitals are being constructed. Infrastructure, roads, bridges are being constructed. And yet you want to tell people that they cannot eat roads. When you go to all the communities, and tell the people, in fact, to get to the communities, don't go to the communities and hand out, don't go to the communities like you did on Tuesday and don't go to the communities and hand out pieces of paper to the people. Tuesday you were in communities handing out papers to the people, and you were walking on roads that were constructed for the people by the PPPC. Housing schemes, water treatment plants, police stations, prisons, all constructed to improve the livelihood and the lives of the people throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. Mr. Speaker, the only memorable and substantial budgetary manifesto promise made by the APNU, AFC, and delivered was to increase the ministers' salaries by 50%. APNU AFC is afraid of all the development initiatives of our government. We announced that toll for bridges will be free, and the first thing we had is a protest in the newspapers. Why make it free? From the ultimate leader himself. The ultimate leader himself added his voice to the protest. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member talked about digitalization of health system. That will be realized this year. You were in this house when 2023 and 2024, we passed all the enabling legislations. And this year, the electronic ID card will be a reality. And you will be among the first to be issued with your electronic ID cards, Mr. Speaker. You like to talk about strongholds and the fact that we are not bringing development. The Honorable Figueroa, only the other day, during his presentation, lambasted this house about the lack of development for Region 10. But Mr. Speaker, he needs to be truthful. It will be inexcusable of me not to examine the track record of the PPPC government in the last 4 years in relation to the hard-working people of Region 10. And I will not be speaking of the transformational projects in infrastructure. The reconstruction of the Soesdijk-Linden Highway for $161 million. It is ongoing. I went to the signing ceremony of that project, and it is being done right now. Soesdijk-Linden Highway, United States, $161 million. That is your stronghold. You spent 5 years in government and you failed to patch a single hole on that highway.
That's correct.
The construction of the soon-to-be toll-free. The construction started. Soon to be commissioned. Soon to be toll-free Wismar Bridge at a cost of US $35 million. You don't know about construction. The construction of Linden to Lethem Highway at a cost, that's the first leg of course, $155 million. Mr. Speaker, they do not know of the transformational projects in agriculture in Region 10, and they claim to represent Region 10, like the Tacoma Corn and Soya Project. No, Mr. Speaker, I like to emphasize how much the people of Region 10 benefited directly from the vision and policies of the PPPC government. Do you know, Mr. Speaker, that in the last 4 years, we spent $3.2 billion as compared to the meager $226 million that the APNU-AFC coalition government spent between 2015 and 2019. $3.2 billion represents a more than 1,300% increase in investment in the children of this region. The Because We Care cash grant, school grants, textbooks, meals, rehabilitation and construction of schools. And as I mentioned construction of schools, I'm advised that the school that I attended 50 years ago in Linden will be rebuilt by the PPPC government. Will be rebuilt by the PPPC government. A school that needed attention, before or during the time when they took office. They failed to do anything at that school. In the last 4 years, Mr. Speaker, we spent more than $4 billion in agriculture in Region 10 on projects like the Region 10 Agriculture Development Program, $500 million. Black Eyed Peas project at Cambia, $765 million. Regional Food Hub at Kurukuru, Suzdike Linden Highway, $587 million. Development of approximately 300 acres of pasture at Kokwani, $39 million. Genetic improvement program for cattle, sheep, pigs, embryos for dairy, milk plants, etc., $164 million. Expansion of honey production, $4.3 million. Agro-processing and value addition, $15 million. NDIA construction and rehabilitation of conservancy dams, drains, and irrigation channels in West Watuka, Linden. NDIA construction of concrete drains and soakaways in Blueberry Hill, Linden. And NDIA maintenance of over 5,000 rods of drains and 3,500 rods of creek annually, to name a few, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was amazed when I went to Linden less than 6 months after we were elected. Fourth Alley, Second Alley, Third Alley, Water Lily Street and known as Poker Street, Back Road, all redone by the Bishop and the Ministry of Public Works. Mr. Norton has a property, his family property in Third Alley, and they did not do any maintenance on that road during 2015 to 2019. I know about him and his property. Mr. Speaker, how much the APNU AFC government spent on agriculture for the people of Region 10 between 2015 and 2020? Less than the PPPC government. They spent only $456 million. Mr. Speaker, between 2015 and 2020, the APNU AFC government literally and figuratively took the breath out of the people of Region 10. When they caused the following: the closure of the call center in 2015, immediately impoverishing 100 persons. Cessation of operations by Rusal, BCGI, displacing more than 360 workers and indirectly affecting hundreds of families. Caused the removal of the Because We Care that we mentioned before. Failed to make home ownership a reality for the people of Linden. And Mr. Speaker, at this stage, I want to use an interesting exhibit. I just mentioned failed to make home ownership a reality for the people in Region 10. And Mr. Speaker, June the 2nd, 2023, an APNU government would build houses and rent to citizens, Norton. At a time when we are having dream realized exercises all over Guyana and in Linden, giving out more than 1,500 house lots in Linden. He wants to build houses and rent. We are giving house lots, we are building houses, and we are empowering people in Linden. They have the transport. They could take it to the bank. They could take it anywhere as collateral. He wants to have them in bondage, paying rent, in bondage, at a time when freedom and liberalization is the word that is of importance to all of us. He wants to keep them in bondage. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Hope,
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Opposition Leader. Let's hear the point of order on which the opposition leader rises.
Speaker, on a point of order under section 41. Mr. Speaker, if there's a quotation in here, it should be factual. I said rent to own.
Honorable Prime Minister, I don't know the quotation, so I can't pronounce if he's... Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, the document has rent to own, but the word rent is most unacceptable at a time when people are owning their own house lots and their own homes. Mr. Speaker, the bottom line is 2020 to 2025, hope was restored and new life injected into Region 10 by the PPPC government. Hope was restored and a new lease of life injected into Region 10. We've invested more than 383% than they would have done in resuscitating tourism sector in Region 10. Invested more than $37 million as compared to a measly $7.8 million spent by the honorable members on that side of the House when they were in government. We've invested more than 47% on small business grants, loans, and trading for small business entrepreneurs in Linden. Invested more than $5.1 billion in 4 years on hinterland roads, bridges, miscellaneous roads to improve the transport and logistics network in the region. How much did the APNU AFC spend, Mr. Speaker? $289 million in 5 years. Most despicable, Mr. Speaker. Overall, Mr. Speaker, this proactive and caring PPPC government has invested more than 580% in the people of Region 10 than the APNU AFC did between 2015 and 2020. More than $37 billion has been spent by my government, the PPPC government, for the people of Region 10, my region, as compared to the APNU AFC, measly $5.4 billion for the 4 years that they were in office. The 5 years, sorry. And yet, Mr. Speaker, they barefacedly sit in this honorable House to criticize the vision of Budget 2025, when their own actions and inactions are indefensible, Mr. Speaker. Indefensible. All is here. Mr. Speaker, I know, well, I wouldn't go into this. Starbuck News on the rigging, the history of rigged elections in Guyana. The Honorable AG went into this. The Honorable AG went into this. I shall start by saying the last free and fair election.
Honorable Prime Minister, let us give you some more time so that you can continue.
Mr. Speaker, may the Honorable Prime Minister be given 5 minutes to conclude and complete his presentation, please.
Honorable Prime Minister, you can continue. You can continue, Honorable
Mr.
Prime
Speaker,
Minister.
as I said, I wouldn't go through this, but I need to say what was on the line. The last free and fair elections prior to 1992 were held in December 1964. Prior to 1992. I say no more. You can read it. This is laid over. Mr. Speaker, democracy and development must go hand in hand or hand in glove. Right? Mr. Speaker, I have two lists. I should call it the scandal list. But in the interest of time, there's some big ones. $1.1 billion was expended on Durban Park rehabilitation. We heard a lot about that. 400 million cannot be properly accounted from. 600 million cannot be properly accounted for. Mr. Speaker, and then, I could go quickly. Management of drugs and medical supplies at the Ministry of where? Public Health. Where's the former minister? She's not here. Poorly written contracts led to over 300 million being paid out without receiving the drugs and supplies. And the Honorable Minister came into this house just now and talked about all the ills that she discovered at Public Health. And she's not here to answer for her own misdeeds, Mr. Speaker. Management of health care, waste at hospitals, receipt, storage, and distribution of textbooks to the Ministry of Health, $989 million. Mr. Speaker, Durban Park will hurt all of us. It's in the center of the city. It's an eyesore, a $1.1 billion eyesore. It's a monument to mismanagement, Mr. Speaker. That's what it is. SARA, State Asset Recovery Agency, over 600 million spent 2017 to 2019. The agency was just used as a political tool and resulted in no convictions. Non-operational COVID-19 hospital, we heard about that. It was just a ribbon cutting and a legacy exercise to say we built that. These are some of the big ones here. Settlement, $1.17 billion. Government of Guyana, BK International for Hogs Bosch. Hogs Bosch.
All they had to do was send a letter.
The case was just filed. There was no trial. Not a head of evidence was led. The government has proof of the substandard work, yet they were afraid. They were afraid of losing. The songs like a Nancy story. Nobody gives up on litigation. Nobody gives up on litigation that is easily, unless they are extraneous matters influencing the situation. The words of the Honorable Anil Nandalal. Sussex Street scandal. You heard about the Sussex Street scandal. We won't bore you with that again. No apologies from Harmon. Salary increases for ministers justifiable. Before the increase, the salary of a senior minister was $500,000. And Harmon said, this is money I paid to my attorneys who worked with me when I was in private practice. We did not do due diligence. By no admits on video mega saga. it was revealed that Video Mega Productions had been awarded contracts to do ads for Department of Energy. And it gets even more interesting. Housing Minister, husband has contract to build houses for our ministry. Minister Patterson Yearwood said her husband was given contracts. When? In 2016 and 2017, just before they were married. She was the minister. The point is she gives your husband to be a contract. That is the point. That's the point. You don't wake up tomorrow morning and marry a man that you don't know. You just know him before. TIGI calls on government to review contracts awarded to minister's husband. APNU, AFC spent $1 billion. Where is the Honorable Volda Lawrence? For expired medicines supplied from January to August. 1,663,032 items valued at 732 million have expired. Another 200 million is scheduled to expire in December. And I'm coming close to home now. I'm coming close to home. Mr. Speaker, opposition MPs flagged as SLED audit finds millions in state funds wasted. 4.9 million grant for procurement of barbershop equipment. Mr. I don't know if I'm allowed to call the honorable member's name in the House, but the honorable member who's in the House does not operate a barbershop. Mr. Christopher Jones, honorable member Christopher Jones, did not at the time operate a barbershop since construction had not commenced. Another honorable member, most honorable, my dear friend, Vincent Henry, 19 million for construction of multi-purpose building at Shulinab. The treasurer of the Shulinab Women's Development Co-op Society indicated she was not aware of the amount of the grant and has asked for an extension to the building. Further, she indicated the facility is not currently, there's no water, no electricity or shelves. And to my own hometown, close to my heart, 5 million pig rearing facility, chaired by brother of Jorman Figueroa. The facility was not operational and abandoned. Mr. Speaker, these are it. And there's so many more. Mr. Jordan told this nation, I will check and receive any bonus of any kind, signature or otherwise. How much it was? If it's all. Then he went on, because the reporters were persistent. I thought the signing bonus was a gift. According to Jordan, when the individual who apparently negotiated this, look, I'm not going to call it bonus yet, this number, he represented it as monies being given by Exxon for the specific purposes of the border and training and petroleum activities. I am not saying that the individual lied or anything, but he fairly represented what Exxon wanted. Then we did not get a signing bonus. No signing bonus. Mr. Jordan, again, when questioned by the media, he said it was a figment of their imagination. But here's why he said that. In the Parliament, Speaker, how did we arrive at 80 million? Winston Jordan, I don't know. I cannot tell you. I know. I wasn't part of any negotiations. I couldn't tell you how we arrived at 80 million. Speaker, so you do not know who negotiated it? So Winston Jordan, I couldn't tell you who negotiated the thing. The thing. I don't know, to be honest. You know, in fact, I thought it was a gift. You know, initially I thought it was a gift coming to us. Mr. Speaker, you know, there are so many scandals. Mismanagement by the PNCR at M&CC, Mayor and City Council, Georgetown. Disaster. It's here. But you know, Mr. Speaker, I'm conscious of the time that I have remaining. And it is important that I leave the House knowing of what is being done by the Office of the Prime Minister. Gas to Energy Project, Mr. Speaker. Phase one of the gas to energy plant. Selected operations and maintenance contractor. Completed procurement and installation of turbines and natural gas liquid processing plants. That will be done this year. Transition to workforce training and knowledge transfer programs for long-term operations, integrated with Wales Industrial Substation for grid connectivity. Transmission and distribution upgrades. Achieve 89% completion of transmission lines, Wales to Vorsails to substation. Reach 52% completion of substations delayed due to Siemens switchgear supply. Fabricated and delivered transformers to Guyana awaiting installation. Storage and offloading project. Initiated contractor pre-qualification process. Conducted site selection for NGL evacuation infrastructure. Pipeline infrastructure completed Exxon pipeline scope. Preserved with nitrogen awaiting plant readiness. Coordinated pipeline safety awareness campaigns begins, Exxon and the government. Renewable energy projects, commission 0.7 megawatt Moko Moko hydropower plant in December 2024. Operationalized 0.65 megawatt major solar PV farm in December 2024 at Madhya. Commissioned 1 megawatt Letem solar PV farm in 2022 and 1.5 megawatt Bartica solar farm in 2023. Procured 4 solar PV mini grids in 2024 for Paramacatai, for Napi, for Awarinawa, for Urupukari. Install 167.6 kilowatt of solar PV across 33 schools, health centers, and police stations in the hinterland. Distributed 30,000 solar PV home energy systems in hinterland regions, totaling 4.8 megawatts in capacity. Solar mini grids upgraded at Canal Bank, Ramadan, and other regions to meet growing energy demands. Additional renewable energy installations, including 4.35 megawatt solar farms planned for 2025, for the commission in 2025. Wakanam, Legwan, Linden will come later. Essequibo Coast and Barbies, contract signed for most of them. 2025, 2026, they will be delivered to the people. Guyana Power and Light, GPL expansion. We added 124 megawatts of new generation capacity with the addition of 60 megawatt Power Ship 2, Demerara, 36 megawatt Power Ship 1, Barbies River, 28 megawatt Columbia. Install localized energy systems for Essequibo Island with 1.2 megawatts in Anna Regina, 450 kilowatts in Wakanam. Connected 1,000 new households in 17 previously unserved communities. Our friends, families, and favorites are getting electricity now.
All of them.
Hinterland electrification and generator upgrades. We upgraded generators at all the locations. We procured and upgrade generators benefiting thousands of households. Matthews Ridge, Port Kaituma, Letem, Madhya, Mabaruma, Karasabai. Letem got 2 times more power than they could need right now. And that will augur well for the expansion of Letem. We did it in less than 4 years. Expanded grid and built substation in Kokwani Mainab, Pakira, and other communities initiated several network upgrades, including Mabaruma, Madja, Port Kaituma, to improve reliability and cater to increased demand. Projects planned for 2025, gas to energy project, full transition to round-the-clock operation in 2025, full transition. Phase 2 expansion, increased capacity to 300 megawatts, previously planned at 250. Finalized contractor selection and construction schedules. Conduct environmental assessment for NGL evacuation infrastructure. Guyana National Control Center on Smart Grid Project. Foundational work and design reviews on the way. Temporary building materials arriving at Port Georgetown by January the 24th, 2025. QAS and OTS system delivered and site preparation ongoing. Transmission and distribution expansion. Complete construction of 155 kilometers of 230 kV transmission lines. 214 kilometer 69 kV transmission lines. 363 kilometers of primary distribution lines in Regions 3, Regions 4, Region 5, Region 6. Established new substation in Kurukuru, Enmore, and Williamsburg. And I went only the other day for the first time to Laluni, and I promised the people they will get electricity, and we will deliver that. Renewable energy. 8 megawatt solar PV farm in Essequibo, 10 megawatt solar PV farm in Barbies. Install 750 kilowatt solar PV microgrid, Wakanam Island. Expand solar mini grids to new communities, including those in Paramakatai, Napi, Yupukari, with the 4 solar PV mini grids procured already, as mentioned, in 2024. Hinterland electrification expansion in 2025. Expand electricity access to Canal Bank, Wonga, places that you never heard of or never went to before. And unserved areas in Region 1. Install new generators, expand distribution networks, and upgrade existing systems. Electrification projects for Itabali, Madja, and other locations. You never hear about these places. Hinterland electrification generator capacity upgrade. We mentioned already Port Kaituma. Install 900 kVA generator. Madja, install 800 kVA generator. Kwakwani, upgraded switchgear. The honorable member talked about Kwakwani being out of power. They were out of power because they were upgraded the switchgear. You didn't check properly. Mabaruma supplied a 1.5 MVA transformer to address increase in power demand and improve distribution. Keto, you tried. You did a friends and family contract with Keto. It failed. We rescued it, and we're going to deliver it to the people this year. Electrification projects. Extended grid to Madja housing scheme. Cans Hill. You know we can Hill there? They are from Mabruma. Whitewater Junction. Completed electrification for Itabali benefiting 100 households. Supported Tipiru schools and clinic with solar PV. Solar PV installation this year will be done and delivered to the people at Seaby, Quibana, Wakapau, Riverview. Upgrade facilities. The facilities for Santa Monica, Karakaburi, and Baramito, they already have it, but they're asking for upgrades. So we're going back to the people, and we're going to upgrade it this year. Expanded grid for housing scheme, clinics, and public facilities in underserved communities, especially in the hinterland. Bridging the divide, bridging the development divide. That is what we're doing for people. Coastland and hinterland must enjoy the prosperity of this nation. Shared prosperity. Telecommunications. Honorable member, she don't want to be here when I talk about communications. Liberalized telecommunications sector 2020. 5th of October 2020. On my birthday, I signed it. Increase in competition. 90% reduction in what people are paying for data in this country. connected 215 out of 253 hinterland communities to high-speed internet, benefiting 127,000 people. Have better internet than many places on the coastline right now in the hinterland. Expanded fiber optic network from 187 kilometers to 700 kilometers. Safe City is now expanded to Safe Country. Established 153 ICT huts with 126 fully operational. Trained 150, trained 1,560 individuals in ICT skills across 9 administrative regions. Executed Girls Code Program, 150 participants took part in that. Girls conducted ICT accessibility training program. What more you want to hear? Things are happening in Guyana. We are developing at a terrific rate. The people are seeing development. The people are feeling development. The people are discussing development. And the people are saying they want 5 more years of development by the PPPC government. Digitization of government services, you promise it, we're delivering it. Digitization of center services, including the processing of board certificates, passports, marriage and death certificates under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Single window planning system launched in June 2024 enables digital applications and tracking of land development permits, improving efficiency. Mobile cash grant system developed in October 2024 demonstrates the efficacy of digital governance by enabling the efficient distribution of the 100,000 Guyana dollars cash grant to beneficiaries. That is ongoing. They get to the money. And the president promised more money. Complaint management system at the Ministry of Labor. Complaint handling process was deployed in May 2024. Job bank application, Skills Connect, a mobile job bank application deployed in October 2024. Persons can easily access job opportunities and market their skills. Inspection system mobile app that enables labor officers and inspectors to perform labor inspections utilizing tablets that can store data. EPA complaint management system, license management system deployed in October 2024. This simplifies the complaints workflow and provides an online presence for citizens to submit complaints and environmental issues. A module has also been developed to digitize application for the processing of various licenses under EPA. Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration and Service Support, Visa, e-services, system improvement to the visa application system are being made. MHSS, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, Social Workers Registry to manage and track social workers across the country for capacity development and direction of resources where they're needed. WIN, Directory of Female Business Owners online, Female Business Directory for the Women Investment Innovation Network, mobile app and website, January 2022, that was done. Infrastructure expansion, planned infrastructure expansion, complete the LEO, low Earth orbiting internet rollout to the remaining 38 communities will be done this year. Expand Wi-Fi GY program to more schools and health centers this year. Launch national EID system, $1 billion Guyana dollar investment. Facilitate, streamline identification services, fingerprint verification, and elimination of redundant audit documents. Card issuance to begin in 2025 with ISO, listen, ISO certified, ICAO accepted standards. Training initiative, trained 1,800 people, young people, nationwide in ICT skills. Continue train the trainers program and expand accessibility training. Enhance and grow the Guyanese Girl Code program. Innovation program, launch innovation camps during school vacation. Introduce Ideathon and Tech Trivia programs. Safe country expansion, expand to 320 additional IVS sites and regions in 2025 with $6.2 billion allocated in the budget. Enhance national security through smart technologies and command center. Safe road intelligence system, SRIS. Implement traffic management technology, including radars and automated ticketing. Disaster preparedness response. Completed projects 2020-2024.
Honorable Prime Minister, we've been very, very generous. It's time that we wind down.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I was going on for a while, and I thank you for the 5 minutes to wrap up. Disaster preparedness response and management. Completed projects. Infrastructure built multi-purpose disaster relief center in Georgetown. Upgrade Lethem relief regional disaster relief complex. Trained 500 personnel from over 20 organizations in disaster management. Infrastructure development. Establish new disaster response center in Madhya, Region 8. Conduct flood mitigation projects in Kokwani. 50 million budgeted for that. Improve water, sanitation, hygiene facilities in schools in Region 1, Region 7, Region 8, and Region 9. Training and capacity building. Train this year 1,000 emergency response personnel. Conduct multi-simulation exercise, including Exxon oil spill exercise in November 2025. Community projects. Execute community-based disaster risk projects. Government information and communications. We've completed installation of the 400-feet digital broadcast tower at Homestretch Avenue. Computerized 99% of the post offices throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. And this year, we will install new radio relay stations at Port Kaituma, Keto, Kokwani, and New Amsterdam. And we will upgrade Essequibo broadcasting facility, tripling the transmission strength. That is what we did for 4 years, and that is what we'll do for the remainder of our term in office. Mr. Speaker, in concluding, I want the honorable members to listen to the conclusion. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Ashley Kumar Singh's biggest budget, $1.384 trillion to date, placed more money in the hands of all the people of Guyana, more than what the former finance minister did in his biggest budget. He took bread out of the people's mouth. He took bread out of the people's mouth. We placed in money in the people's hands. As I close, let me emphasize that 2025 national budget embodies the aspirations of a country determined to secure a prosperous future, unlock endless potential, and embrace a destiny as a global leader in development and sustainability. This budget is our collective, not we on this side, you on that side too. It's our collective roadmap to a Guyana that is secure and sustainable. A Guyana where every citizen, regardless of origin or station, has the opportunity to thrive. I urge every Guyanese, including you, honorable members on the other side of the House, to join us as we seize this moment, carpe diem, seize this moment and forge ahead with unity and purpose. I call on every member of this honorable House to lend their support to this budget, a vision of hope, progress, and opportunity for all Guyanese. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and may God bless all of us and all the people of Guyana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable members, let's recognize the Mayor of Georgetown and also former Deputy Speaker. Having been well energized by that massive electrification plan by the Honorable Prime Minister, let's take 10 minutes, stretch our legs, and come back for another marathon session led by the opposition leader.
From foreign places, talk about taking over. We ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river